I'm going to enter the truck using 3 points of contact. Put on our seat belt. Turn the key to the on position and let the truck go through its diagnostic checks. Then we'll crank the truck. Alright. Now we're going to start our air brake test. So the first thing we're going to check for is our air gauge and governor cutoff. We want to make sure the governor cutoff is reached between 120 and 140 psi. We want to demonstrate that for the examiner, but since it's already pumped up all the way, we're going to have to bleed it down just a little bit first in order to demonstrate that. So I'll bleed it down right about 90 or so and let it air itself back up. So we've reached our governor cutout at 130 psi, which tells me the air gauge and governor cutoff are operating properly. Next, I have to get ready to do the rest of my air brake tests. So I'm going to shut the engine off, but turn the key back to the on position, and then release my parking brake. And so now I'm ready to do the next part, which is I'm checking for any air leaks. And to do that, I'm going to hold down the brake pedal for 1 minute and watch my air gauge. I want to make sure that it does not leak more than 3 psi in that 1 minute for a Class B truck, or a Class B truck with an electric brake trailer, or 4 psi for a Class A truck with an air brake trailer. Alright, so here I'm going to hold the pedal down for 1 minute. The needles will drop a little bit once I push the pedal, but then they settle in place. They're no longer dropping, and that's when I'm watching it for 1 minute, making sure we don't lose any more pressure. Like I said, 3 psi for Class B truck, 4 psi with Class A truck and air brake trailer. So now we'll pretend 1 minute is up, take my foot off the brake, and again tell the examiner I did not lose more than 3 psi in that 1 minute, which means I have no air leaks. Next thing I'm going to check for is my low pressure warning light and buzzer. They should come on the dash by the time the pressure drops to no less than 55 psi. So we're going to bleed out pressure from the system until that light and buzzer come on. Okay. Now our light and buzzer came on the dash, warning us about low air pressure. They came on at about 70 psi, which tells me they're operating properly. The last thing we're going to check is to make sure that the emergency brakes apply when the pressure drops between 20 and 45 psi. And I'll know they apply when my parking brake knob pops out. So again, we're going to bleed pressure out of the system and wait for the parking brake knob to pop out. Now the knob popped out at approximately 25 psi, which tells me my emergency brakes are operating properly. Of course, like I said, the knob pops out, which indicates the emergency brakes applied. So you want to say that the emergency brakes applied. That's what we're checking for. Now we'll crank the truck back up and build our pressure back. I can tell you that the ABS indicator light is on. It went out quickly, which tells me the ABS system is operating properly. My DEF fluid gauge shows at least 1/4 of a tank, and therefore we do not have a DEF indicator light on, which would indicate low fluid. I'm going to check my left turn signal indicator light. It's operating properly. My right turn signal indicator light is operating properly. My four-way flasher indicators are also operating properly. And I'll turn my headlights on and show that my high beam indicator light is operating properly. Then while we wait for the pressure to build, we can check our 3 pieces of emergency equipment. You can point to your triangles wherever you have them in the truck. We don't have any sitting here, but we'll point to our box there and say we have 3 red reflective triangles. I have a fire extinguisher down here on the side that's securely mounted, fully fully charged, properly rated with a safety pin in place. And then you want to show the examiner that you have a spare box of electrical fuses as well. My pressure's built back up, so I'll start doing my other brake checks. I want to test my parking brakes to make sure they're operating properly. So to do that, I'm going to leave the parking brakes applied. I'll put the truck into gear and try to pull forward gently. The truck did not move, which tells me that the parking brakes are operating properly. Next, I'm going to check my trailer brakes. And so to do that, again, I'm going to put the truck in drive. I would release the parking brakes, and then I'm going to pull forward while I apply the trailer brake module and make sure that they stop the truck, or at least slow the truck down. And then the third brake test I have to do is check my service brakes. And to do that, again, I'm going to release my parking brake, have the truck in drive, or put it in gear, first gear, pull forward about 5 miles per hour, mash the brakes. I want to say that the truck came to a stop and it did not pull right or left, which indicates the service brakes are operating properly. Next, I'm going to check my windshield to make sure that it has no obstructions blocking my view except for an inspection sticker over there, which is okay. There's also no cracks or flaws in the glass. It's clean. I'm checking my mirrors on both sides to make sure they are adjusted properly. They're also clean, not cracked or damaged. I'm going to check my windshield wipers. The arms are mounted securely. They're not damaged. They operate smoothly. I want to inspect my windshield wiper fluid to make sure that we have fluid and that it also operates properly. Next, I'm going to check my defroster. I'm going to turn it to the hot side and put the fan on, pointing up at the windshield, and make sure that I can feel the hot air coming out and say that it's operating properly. Then I'm checking my heater, so I'll point it down at the floor, feel down here, make sure the hot air is coming out, and state that my heater is operating properly. And lastly, I'm going to check my electric horn. It operates properly, and my air horn also operates properly. And that would conclude your in-cab vehicle inspection.